Have you ever been the kind of person who cares deeply about others? Someone who felt everything deeply? Someone who loved with their whole heart? Someone who gave without holding back? And then one day, you realized something had shifted. You stopped over-explaining yourself. You stopped being the first to reach out. You stopped opening your heart as easily as before. People around you might have said, "You've become cold. You're not the same anymore. Why are you so distant now?" But what if this change wasn't a failure? What if it was survival? Today, we're exploring why deeply caring people, empaths, often become emotionally guarded. We'll look at this through the lens of psychologist Carl Jung. This isn't a story about losing your heart. This is a story about protecting it, understanding your wounds, and finding a path to healing. Part 1. Understanding the Empath. Carl Jung and the feeling-oriented person. Carl Jung believed that not all people experience life the same way. Some people think first, some people act first, and some people feel first. Jung called these people feeling-oriented personalities. These are people who feel emotions very deeply, pick up on other people's moods instantly, are naturally caring and empathetic, care deeply about peace and harmony, have a strong desire to help and heal others. They don't just understand pain, they feel it. Not only their own pain, but other people's pain too. This is the empath. The beautiful burden of feeling too much.
Sounds beautiful, and it truly is. But Jung warned us about something important. Any strength, when taken too far, becomes a weakness. Empaths often feel responsible for other people's emotions, give much more than they receive, have a hard time saying no, put their own needs last, absorb emotional energy like a sponge. They don't just rest and recharge, they carry. And over time, this becomes absolutely exhausting. Part 2. The mask we wear. The persona. How empaths hide their true self. According to Carl Jung, we all develop something called the persona. The persona is the mask we wear to be accepted by others and fit into society. For empaths, this mask often looks like the helper, the listener, the emotional support person.
The strong one everyone relies on. The one who understands everyone. This version of themselves earns love, praise, and a sense of belonging. But Jung gave us a serious warning. The more we identify with the persona, the more we lose touch with our true self. Here's what happens. Empaths become loved for what they give, not for who they are. And slowly, without even realizing it, their real needs disappear behind the mask. When you forget to care for yourself, while the empath is taking care of everyone else, something dangerous is happening. Their own emotions are being ignored, being minimized, being pushed aside, being treated as less important. They tell themselves things like, "I'll deal with my pain later. Others need me more right now. I shouldn't complain. My problems aren't that serious." But here's the truth. Pain doesn't disappear when we ignore it. It goes underground, deep into the unconscious mind. Part 3. The shadow side. Where pain gets stored. Carl Jung called this unconscious storage of rejected emotions the shadow. The shadow holds unexpressed anger, unmet needs, suppressed grief, deep resentment, emotional exhaustion. For empaths, the shadow often contains thoughts like, "I give too much and get nothing back. No one ever shows up for me. I feel invisible. I'm so tired of being the strong one." But because empaths are afraid of hurting others or seeming selfish, they push these feelings down. They keep pushing them down until the shadow grows too heavy to carry. Emotional wounds create lasting patterns. Jung believed that repeated emotional pain creates what he called a complex. A complex is like an emotional wound that gets stored deep in the unconscious mind. It forms through experiences like being betrayed over and over, having your emotions ignored or dismissed, one-sided relationships where you give everything, being used only for emotional support, loving people who can't or won't love you back. For the empath, this complex creates a belief system. Opening your heart is dangerous. Being vulnerable always leads to pain. Closeness costs too much. And when this belief takes hold deep inside, behavior changes. Part 4. The transformation. Why the empath starts to withdraw. This is where the big shift happens. The empath doesn't become distant overnight. First, they become tired. Then they become disappointed. Then they become guarded. Eventually, the mind adapts to protect itself. Carl Jung believed the human psyche always seeks balance. So when empathy keeps causing pain, the mind creates distance as a defense. Withdrawal becomes protection. Silence becomes safety. Avoidance becomes survival. This isn't cruelty. This is adaptation. This is the mind trying to save itself. What avoidance really means. Many people misunderstand avoidant behavior. They look at the empath who has withdrawn and think, "You don't care anymore. You've become cold and heartless. You're emotionally unavailable." But Jung would say something completely different. Avoidance is often an unhealed sensitivity, not a lack of feeling. The empath still feels deeply. They just can't afford to feel everything anymore. So they close the door. Not because they don't care, but because they care too much, and caring that much has nearly destroyed them.
The wounded inner child. Jung believed that deep emotional reactions often come from what he called the inner child. The empath's inner child learned very specific lessons. Love must be earned through service. Being useful is what keeps people close. Saying no means risking abandonment. So the child learned to give and give and give. But when that child gets hurt again and again, when the giving never gets returned, the adult part of the psyche steps in to protect them. Avoidance becomes the shield. Part 5. The confusing in-between. Why this change feels so strange. This transformation often feels painful and confusing. The empath starts asking themselves, why don't I feel like myself anymore? Why don't I want to be close to people? Why do I feel emotionally numb? And Jung would say something powerful. You are not losing yourself. You are transitioning. The old version of you no longer works. The new version hasn't fully formed yet. This uncomfortable in-between space, this is where growth happens. Part 6. The path to healing. Individuation, Jung's answer to wholeness. Carl Jung believed that healing doesn't mean going backward to who you used to be. It means moving forward with awareness and consciousness. He called this process individuation. Individuation is the journey of becoming your true self, not the persona mask you wore, not the wounded version of yourself, but the integrated whole person. Facing your shadow. The shadow isn't your enemy, it's the wounded part of you asking for attention and care. When you finally turn and face it, you might feel anger at how you were treated, sadness over what you lost, grief for the person you used to be, disappointment in people you trusted. But here's what changes everything. When pain is understood, it loses its power over you. The difference between healthy empathy and self-sacrifice. Jung taught that true balance comes from making conscious choices. Healthy empathy includes caring for yourself, respects your own limits, allows you to rest and recharge, expects give and take. Self-sacrifice erases your needs completely, feels like an obligation, creates deep resentment over time, leads to complete burnout. Avoidance teaches the empath something crucial, where the balance was missing all along. Listening to the message. Avoidance isn't meant to be your final form. It's a signal from your unconscious mind. It's saying, your boundaries were crossed too many times. Your emotional energy was completely drained. Jung believed that symptoms are messages from the unconscious. Listen to them. Don't judge them. Part 7. Becoming whole again. When empathy returns, but different. As real healing begins to happen, something beautiful emerges.
empathy comes back. But it returns differently. It becomes conscious instead of automatic, boundaries instead of endless, self-respecting instead of self-erasing, calm instead of compulsive. You stop giving to earn love. You give because it feels right and aligned with who you are. You are not broken. If you were once open and warm, and now you feel closed off and guarded, you are not broken. You are healing in the only way you know how. Carl Jung would tell you, the psyche closes doors to protect what is sacred. Your heart closed to protect itself. That wasn't a weakness. That was wisdom. Part 8. Final message. Integration, not isolation. According to Carl Jung, your psyche isn't asking for permanent isolation. It's asking for integration. Avoidance is not the destination. It is the bridge between who you were and who you're becoming. Healing happens when you stop running from the pain and start understanding it. When you stop judging yourself for changing and start honoring the protection your mind gave you. As Jung famously said, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. Not who others needed you to be, not the mask you wore to survive, but your authentic self. If this message resonated with you, you are not alone. Thousands of empaths go through this exact transformation. Your journey inward isn't a weakness, it's courage. It takes incredible strength to face your wounds, set boundaries, and choose yourself. If you found value in this video, please like and subscribe. Share this with someone who might need to hear it. Your healing matters. Your story matters. You matter.